do we have to look for application run don't just use Lambda.
You can use Lambda. You can use Lambda service from don't worry about the data inside the AWS or whatever. Just make sure that there is provision, that is provision a server to run your application.
So I don't need to go and think about looking for that to run the business.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Another question is, if I find a case study which is similar to what we have travel business, can I replicate whatever business is? I'm a professional everything. Whatever, because they, for example, is AWS is for this case study. Then is for this business says that provide travel insurance, travel coverage, everything. This is the things that we use for the thing.
Let's say you have that case study, why not? It's not use it as long as you actually apply to it.
But I cannot find drawing.
We can use and we can just use whatever they no, she said we can just use whatever they use for them. And then the one who apply
You're supposed to go and contact the AWS and ask them how you design for BPA. So they send you a solution like that.
Actually,
last time there's one two students that actually contact the AWS. I'm going to do some activity. You can always tell them lah. So I got it like that's not over. How much copy you can?
everybody in the whole staff go and ask.
Then one whatever. Or you don't need to contact the actual or anybody that is a class. So you can contact. You contact them. Nothing wrong.
Not just have to find the app to run the business, just find the type of services that they have AWS to kick in.
Yeah.
And make sure
it's linked to our
Another way you can always ask them, I have a personal cloud or I have a personal server then I would like to upgrade to AWS. What was your opinion?
the server, you not find the cost on it.
And
I realized already. I'm moving forward. I'm going to put it as we did parallel of a new server, the cost of pulling out a private cloud for a new server versus AWS. I'm going to put in all the new charges.
Okay.
It's very.
You need a full server. Obviously, it's a full server.
So I'm okay if I say that
I was originally just test out and find.
cannot find that. It's less than 5K. So I need something that's more than 10K. Then check out the price.
You can of course check out price.
Can you check out without evidence?
Of course based on your house, now this new server, but for potential, if I upgrade this about 10K, they can
Okay, technically because the president, the CEO went to class, it says that it's nearing the end. Nearing the end is few already. So I can say that since we are talking about moving to the new server versus something, I'm going to put in the new server and the AWS. Any issue? No issue. I don't have to find the whole machine and everything. I can't previous the one I'll go to.
Just need to know the configuration and then upgrade like how much. So the important is upgrading how much the new server.
Okay.
Also is just the configuration there.
Yeah.
So important is what is the price of the new server.
Okay.
And what you show already, man.
Very easy to find. I want to make sure that it makes sense.
Not easy to do.
And so it's going to be the cost versus in private versus.
You must save, and people save.
I want to check out the price switch also. My app also can check out. My iPhone also can check out. So this is really贵嘞。
对了，干了那个太深的啦，你别想那个完了咯。
EC2 还有一个什么 upgrade
EC2 storage
storage。
Okay.
会超过的啦。因为要 looking at how many years, right?
10 years.
10 years.
Because normally changing your hardware about 10 years.
So I have to work multiply it as 10 years.
10 years.
Then this is my new private cloud. As expensive, as more expensive.
You still have two worker 吗？
2 worker
才一个啊。 我给你2个worker，你可以找一个。
啊？
对，2个worker。
Yeah.
啊。
对。
抓那个。
Yeah, but
I recommend the start for AWS training. In order for them to be familiar with the system.
So you still do that.
You know, cannot fire lah.
Self-service one guy.
How to fire two guys?
It's the right setting. Well, it's to really fire people and use any one. Now I want to tell you all the this sort of way to set you.
Okay, so if 10 years, Google Cloud versus private cloud, then look at firing. Okay.
You don't fire right? You also can count how much people are. Then you think about.
Then if you want to train a person up all the way to the highest tier, it's very expensive also. Then
you decide, oh. Then you say again. No point.
one person train, one person train the other person, every time you train. But I still got train, but otherwise how to the person, the gimmick, one of the factors is that the person must be well versed in the crowd, then they can use the crowd.
Because why you need two person physical? Because you go on leave, who's going to take care you need 2 person.
That's new才员。
没办法，这是 physical server.
Oh.
When now you're online, anybody can take over.
Okay.
Or that guy who's on leave also can help to look into it because if overseas file is online. Yeah.
Okay, instead of hiring 2 person who is live and hire another 2 person for overseas staff.
Do you want to?
Can.
Because how it's online, anybody can help to maintain already. You don't need to be a local.
Very sad.
Singapore, precisely. No, this is not about Singapore. This is about the entire world. The cloud is there already. The hiring is going to be more different. In the next 10 years, everybody will be cloud. Doesn't mean a Singaporean will hire Singaporean. No, already. Because my survey is now in US. I can hire anybody from anywhere. I can hire Vietnam, India, anywhere. And even the US company can hire people from Singapore to manage. Like my student,
Why am I signing this for? If the people don't hire somebody,
then you did that somebody.
somebody.
that's why now you see, now you realize whether you realize that yeah.
Why am I going through this course?
No, this course is different because it's a wide spectrum of different technology, not only just cloud. Cloud is a reality check in the next 10 to 20 years. You find that all the services all will be cloud soon. AI, security, all going around cloud computing.
But the basic condition. Okay, so back to the topic. So
later we have today I took a practical to discuss about all this.
I
see. Yeah. So then we can take a answer all questions.
Okay.
Similarly, every year around week 3, along like not the
I cannot find the server cost at all. If the more I know, the more cheaper it gets.
because by now all the server only costs maybe $5. So right.
If the information is
The old.
yeah.
About 500.
I cannot cause the comparison between the two.
About 500.
You can use the information to indicate. But it's not fair. You confirm the online, the Google, the cloud will be much more expensive.
Not true because if let's say you just pay service, it's not so expensive.
Oh, okay, actually, when you use the one, yes.
So I go straight away and ask for 10 years instead of 3 years because the instance is for 3 years.
10 years. What hardware? 10 years.
I'm talking about the AWS. So I ask permission, ask for 3 years, 10 years.
10 years. You have 3 years that they have.
Can I get 3 years? 10 years now, I'm not multiply by factor of 2.5 or 3. Cannot.
So, so 10 years is a good gauge. 10 years. Servers normally last for 10 years. Along the way, you just say that one hard disk file. Two hard disk file. Then you think maybe the
RAM need to upgrade.
RAM not enough, fire time upgrade, everything so waiting.
No, you don't think people get point to get
I thought it's 2 years or 3 years and then it's about 3 years.
Because there's a lot of upgrade. Okay.
Hello, Shawal.
He said hello to you.
Hi, Shawal.
So I told DJ, right?
Okay, let's start. Now, as usual, every week we try to do a simple revision of what happened last week, so you can get a better idea. Okay, so for today, basically, I've taken out the practical, so we're going to do the assignment. Okay, so prior to the assignment, I think it's good to do some more discussion. So there should be a lot of questions by now, week 3. And then if you have any question, I think good to trash it out, okay, before you actually embark on the second part of your assignment. So by now, most of you should have already been trying to find out the hardware, the core, whatever, and then what platform you want to use. Okay, this is a point whereby you have inquiries, and you can clear inquiries by today. But before that, let's do some simple revision on what happened last week. Okay, if you remember, we actually talked about the 3 service model. Okay, the first one is the SaaS, which is software as a service. If you remember, the software as a service, an example is like Google email, right? Yahoo email, anything that uses the browser to access any of the application, like for example, the accounting services, accounting application on the web itself, okay, or our favorite Google Forms, okay, that we use for doing survey. So this is an example of the software as a service. Normally they are free, okay, but there are cases where company actually, I think most of you may have an idea roughly what kind of software your company is using, right? Okay, lead application, accounting service. So there are cases where company actually provides this kind of service because they want to purchase the entire software suite. Okay, like for example, customer service experience, the software itself. Okay, it deals with customer complaint, customer entering of the input itself, claim system, can be as expensive as $1 million or $500,000. Okay, but by providing this kind of service, alright, the company actually pays by either by usage or by per person that's using the so-called software itself. So it can be as cheap as $2 per month, okay, for one single employee. So the second one is a platform as a service. Now this is basically used by most of the developers, okay, out there who do programming. So in today's context, when we talk about the CDN, right? Later on we'll be touching the first part will be the CDN. The CDN itself basically uses a lot of this kind of platform as a service, some kind of extra features to help them to actually speed up their website. Okay. Now if you don't do developments work, you don't do website, so normally you will come to this, this kind of extra services, which is the CDN. So platform service is really for developers to publish their website, okay, as easy as just one click. Now if you have database, then it's a bit more tougher because you need to actually get the application to talk to the database. So right now, my student, our full-time student is trying to come up with a workshop. Hopefully, it'll be ready when you all embark on your this 415. Can take a look at how we actually publish our simple application, a Python app, onto the AWS. Then we have one more example using the ASP.NET to publish to this Azure itself. So they can see that process going on there. Because this process is not easy, right? Because you guys are not developers, so very difficult to ask you to click this, click that, it won't work. So then you have to debug that kind of stuff. So we get a student to help to create an instruction for you to see how you actually publish the PAX portion. The one we used previously was on Java, it's really difficult to use. So now we use Python, which is much more easier. Okay. Now the last one, very applicable to all of you here today, because you guys are all system administrators.
Okay, you're not that network administrators. So network administrators, you can actually use the services found inside the IaaS because they're very powerful. Now, IaaS, don't get it wrong. Some companies don't provide network services. Okay, now you go to Azure, right? Azure don't provide network. No private cloud, no private network itself inside there. So don't imagine that every single company provide IaaS will have network inside there. No, only AWS are very powerful. They have this mini network that you can actually use inside there. We call it VPC. Okay, and then you can actually maybe a very small network inside with all the domain controllers. Alright. So IaaS itself is really minimally must have some servers. It must have some servers, and that server itself, when you say you want to create a server, we call the word provision. We provision a service. So every time you need one server, you provision a service or a server itself. That's how you call it. So minimally, there must be a lot of virtual machines inside there. Okay. So next week, then we will touch on how we can go into either Azure, alright, to actually see how we can actually create a very simple so-called a service from there. Okay, up a service and try to manage from there. Again, because it's the student, with that, I show one example. Like, for example, today I will show you a CDN example, but I was being blocked because we don't have the permission. And here it's free, normally it's being blocked. So, because CDN is actually quite expensive. So, because it helps to promote the speed of your website, so you'll be blocked, so I can't use it. Okay, so even if you want to create a storage, you also cannot use. Okay, a lot of limitation here and there. AWS is a bit more better, but not as good also. Still in a car, you know it after the break, I come back and you have a lot of hair pulling to do. Okay. Although it's very powerful, but you know limitations because you're student edition or educate license. So a lot of things you need to turn left, turn right, then to reach that thing, and sometimes reach halfway cannot be done. So we really know what can be done, what cannot be done. Alright, so we will inform you. But it definitely can be done from your previous project. You can put it out into your AWS, no problem. Use the traditional method. The newer method, the AWS method, of course, not possible. Need to pay. Need to pay. Okay. So that is IaaS now. So mainly for infrastructure as a service. Now, some people actually ask me, okay, this question, I think it's very good thinking. In the next 10 to 20 years time, where do you see yourself being? And what will happen to all the servers in 10 to 20 years time? So I think now you can see that servers are slowly moving into cloud computing, correct? So this buzzword never even come to your mind, if you haven't even come for this course, okay? Because the other students will ask me this question, not this class. So what happened? I mean, how come suddenly cloud computing becomes so popular? I mean, last time I thought we heard about cloud computing, but why suddenly there is an interest coming up again? Okay, I think I don't know whether I explained to this task before, but basically it's due to big data and analytics. Did I tell you that? Yeah. So if you look at the cloud computing, it is actually a context by itself. What's the context? The context means that the real work is done inside it. Okay. Now, if you talk about security, if I say like, hey, today we are learning security. Oh, okay. Just theory lah. Correct. If I learn security, it's just theory, right? I taught you all right. InfoSec, right? Is it all theory? Yeah. Confidentiality, CIA, right? Oh, correct. So availability, all this, all theory based. Encryption. Okay, we talk about the private key, right? Public key, right? What is the theory? But you do not have a context to rely on. You do not have a place to anchor your security. But let me tell you, if you work into this area, the security will come handy. Okay, you may be learning the broad term about security, but you really need a context to rely on because security can be, I can tell you that security can be application security developer. Oh, then it's very applicable to writing secure code. Oh, I'm a network guy. Hey, that is network security already. Fair enough, huh? Then if I'm a system admin, hey, then I'm a local security guy. I'm looking at intrusion alert. I'm looking at log files. I'm looking at people, kind of like log in a numerous way, or in failures of password, and then creating, some kind of policies, breaking certain policies. So you find that if you don't put your contacts into a certain place, your this security will never come inside. So what will happen in the next 10 to 20 years? Very simple. All will go focus into cloud computing. Why? All the services will be there. If you think about it, where will be the next place to hold all your data? Alright, I think it's cloud. Right? Okay, example, I have a traffic speed camera or camera everywhere in Singapore. Eventually, all this data is going to be pulled into a cloud, right? Yeah. Maybe not this cloud, but other cloud. So data going to the cloud, what happens next? You need to have a tool inside the cloud to read the data, right? To process the data, right? And to make sense of the data, right? And eventually show a dashboard, right? So everything can be done in the cloud already. So now you can see everything, analytics, security, and whatever you learn, big data, it eventually will move into the cloud. Now, no other place but into the cloud. So you think it's important now? Okay, so then you'll be asking this question, so what should I do next? What is my next path? So your next path can be either you strengthen yourself onto more towards being able to contribute in the cloud area by first being able to administer virtual cloud, virtual servers onto the cloud, okay, or able to create network onto the cloud. So to do that, you need to know cloud architecture based on that company. Okay, so you need to know AWS product inside. You need to know about Huawei. So focus one. Don't focus everything. Don't go Huawei, go Alibaba, go AWS, go Azure. So this is not, I think this is not the way to go. Just focus on one. Okay, and be good and have that into that so-called company that you're doing. So that people have a confidence that, hey, how long have you been using Azure? Oh, using for 3 years already. Azure, no problem. I'm okay, I can use. Okay, some people say that in certain areas, so but again, hopping from company to company depends on the type of cloud that the company is using. So the future is you must start with something, an important cloud platform, and from there you train all the way down. Okay, take a certification and be somebody. So the basic level is be able to manage the virtual machine inside the cloud. The second level is be an architect. Yes, I think I still be an architect more. That means I have a physical server here, okay, and I want to move everything to the cloud. So you have to go to the company there. And second one, our company is go to the company, take a look. Okay, you have this. Okay, you have this network. Okay, so how we're going to do it? Okay, now I propose a solution to you. So this is what you're going to do now. I'm going to propose a solution to you. Roughly 10 years time, it's going to be how much? Okay, and this service I will help you to run. Help you to move everything over to the other side. That is what the architect should be doing. So you should be moving towards that area in the next 5 years. Give yourself 5 years. Best is by next year. If you can. Okay, I want you all to all move to architect and then earn as much money as me. Okay, you should be earning more than me. So you are still young. Already. Okay. So architect can really give you that edge, the push. Okay. But bear in mind, it's tough life. It's tough life. I recently had a dinner with my architect friend. He from a lecturer. From a lecturer, he never do networking before. It's like, okay. And he never do system before. But he's very good at programming. He took up the challenge. He studied for 9 months. He got the solution architect. Okay, guess what we learned? So then at lunch, at dinner, we're putting after dinner, I said I'm going home. Bye. You know where he's going? Going back to deploy the solution. Because at night they can start deploying, right? In the morning you can't do anything at night, then you can start deploying. You all know your system admin. Shut down only at night, maybe 11 PM, then you start shutting down. Then move everything. So whatever you think about what kind of life you want, a lot of money, then again, a lot of job. So it depends on so you're thinking about it. But that is really how things is going to move in the next 5 to 10 years, even down 20 years. Okay. My prediction is 20 years down the road, when everything is in the cloud, the next thing that comes will be virus, no longer this COVID-19 will be our cloud virus. Attack the whole system, when my whole system is down. So you see 1 whole month we're not doing anything. Because one system is down, whole cloud is down, we can't do anything. Your email also cannot write. don't know what to do. Maybe never also down, everything also down. So can rest for 1 month or take 1 month leave. Can go traveling. I don't know whether can go traveling because all the flights today all cannot be found, all deleted. Maybe all the bank account money all gone also. So that is where important digital identity come in. Digital identity is where we lock your resources with your name. If this money belongs to me. How you steal my money, it still belongs to me. It's tagged to me. Not tagged to you need to have a digital identity. So Singapore will have a digital identity soon. So let's say Jenny today you post in social media, hey, this one is from Singapore. This person posts the comment from Singapore. Because that's the digital identity. The money is tagged to her. So in NFT also come in. Whatever you own in the resources will all belong to you. Nobody can steal from you. This is a digital identity and this is security in the future. Same for cloud. So who owns the thing in the cloud and forever be owning it. So we have seen also the different types of cloud computing. We have public, we have private, and we have hybrid. Okay. Of course, company firstly they all go for private right? They have their own private cloud. That was the very first part. Everybody wanted to have a private cloud because they have a spare server amount. Remember I told you that story? Okay, then slowly they realized that expensive to maintain. Let's throw away this guy and move some of them into the public cloud and some still within the hybrid. Right? Remember I told you? So half public and then half hybrid. Then after a while we realized that okay I think we are ready. Okay, 5 years, 10 years, let's go public already. Okay, so that's how it goes. But before that consideration, we need to ensure that data that belongs to us, right, will always belong to us, even if it goes to the cloud. And nobody can steal my data. Then people will go into the public cloud fully. If by now you still cannot guarantee that my data is not being seen by another person because cloud is shareable, it's a shared domain, right? Then I will always be in the hybrid because my private data will always be in the hybrid. My public data, I have no conflict with the public cloud. So if that is not done in a so-called the domain whereby your identity can be fixed onto that resource, there's no way I'm going to release my data to the public. Okay. So you can see that example. So that's how you're going to protect your resources in the future. In fact, the entire world is really talking about digital identity for the whole country. So very soon we're going to have a digital identity for everybody. Like Jenny will have one digital identity for herself. Then one digital identity. Every time you post on the internet, we know who is it. You cannot help posting, you cannot help post, then zhao already. You cannot. So then whatever you say, you are liable for any defamation suit. Very dangerous. But also good for everybody because nowadays in the social media, right, everyone can say anything they want. This is not very nice. Or don't know whether genuine or not genuine. You know it's fake news or not.
No, it's coming.
Sorry?
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. So get ready. So that will also affect digital currency. I still don't know how the currency will be, your money, how to translate to digital. Nobody will know. But definitely, your Bitcoin remains a Bitcoin. You know, be our Singapore coin. Singapore coin currency always belongs to the country. There's no way that Bitcoin can become country. So Bitcoin will be just a global digital coin. Probably used for digital transaction over the world. Up to you to go and transact. So anyway, I think another one that we shared was this one, the 3 layers, software service at a higher layer, whereby you pay a very minimum just to run the software. Developer using this to launch the application and to deploy the application. And the last part, which is the administrators, will use this infrastructure as a service. So then we talk about the assignment later on, where you want to use it. PAS or IAS. I think this one is a consideration and most of them, some question after 3 weeks. So the progression is that traditionally we have our servers there running, low utilization, very secure, very stable, all right. And since we are having a low utilization, then why just virtualize it into, instead of having 2 servers, physical server, now you're going to have 8 VMs running. Okay, after a while, realize that let's move on to create our own cloud. Okay, after that, maintenance become an issue, too expensive. Eventually, we go to the public cloud. That's what happened last. It's gonna be an example. Okay. Gone are the days we have our virtual servers. Okay, anytime you want a virtual server, you just go to the IT hub that I need a server. They'll just create one for you straight. Now we have, but it's not meant by it's meant by centralized IT system. So if you want your server, when you purchase nowadays, just go and virtualize one for you. Very easy. Okay, so this one's still available, right? But sooner or later, right, we move to private cloud, but we already moved lah. Okay, so there's one case that we have already moved to private cloud, but because of the hardware very expensive to maintain this private cloud is not cheap.
What is the difference between virtualized and private cloud?
Again,
Virtualized and private cloud.
okay, virtualization is basically you have your own hardware, right? Okay, so you probably have a rack server, maybe about four servers in a rack. So after a while, you realize this the 4 rack servers are not really fully utilized. So you probably use like one out of the 4. So it's okay. Why don't we just create some virtual servers on spot?
Like our previous VM.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so maybe one server you can have 4 virtualization. Then probably you have 4 down for 16 virtualized servers. So it's called virtualized.
Yeah.
So 1 and 2 are always related. After 1 and 2 already you felt that wow, I need some my own private cloud. So you purchase some software, okay, then you do the private cloud, you create your own private cloud, your own infrastructure.
In the cloud.
Sorry?
In the cloud.
No, your own infrastructure. That means you purchase additional hardware to set up your own private cloud. Maybe bigger one, more bigger one, bigger than the virtualized. Yeah, that means you pay about maybe $500,000 to do the private cloud. Yeah, $500,000. And the software. Around that, the kind of price. Our infrastructure was about that price over here. For the level 6 level. For this price. And then after that, realized that's quite slow. Yeah. I don't know whether you all use private cloud. But you use private cloud before.
So
company.
what's the service that you what's the user that you
Our side. I remember, I know it correct. When you boot up your this system, they really tag like what kind of OS you want to put up. So there's an image tag in our so-called this private cloud. So let's say for this PC, right, when they put up, they say that one Windows 10 or Windows Server or whatever. Then some cases, right, they want to, so then they will pop out 2 options. Whether I can put up this or put up this.
literally all the PCs here all at the same time.
Same time.
Like inside.
Not all the lab selected lab only.
They act like same time.
Yes, something like that. Like, yeah. But then didn't work. Eventually still go back to our PC. We try. So that means it's bare metal or it's bare metal.
It is considered PDF.
Yeah, correct. Then go there, pick up the image and run. So it's like a tower but useless. But then you realize that quite slow. Yeah, very slow. But it's initial part. Initial part when you start quite slow. Then some people even say very slow, don't know what happened. Then after the comment, then we took it out. So now we implement it through the labs. Yeah. So when you put out very fast, you know it's not through VM, it's not private cloud. Oh, so we actually clone, I still do cloning on my one clone. Yeah, so that's the way. Okay, so this was what we discussed last week. Any questions last week? Alright, so kind of like recollect back what we went through. So today we're going to into a little bit of infrastructure, okay, and the architecture, because without knowing this, right, you cannot embark on Wi-Fi, which is the so-called the AWS infrastructure. So AWS is very huge, very big. So, but I don't touch on AWS. I try not to. You need to, like today, there's one simple video I'll touch on is the CloudFront, which is very much used in CDN. Okay, so that one is being applied in CDN. But if you go to your 412, I don't think they will touch on this. But I think there's some introduction. Remember there's some introduction video on CDN as well. It is one of their important concepts. Okay, to understand what we have is region and some of the terms. Not everybody use the same. Like for AWS and Azure, they use region. Okay, AZ, not all use AZ. So even you go to Oracle Cloud, they don't use AZ. They have their own concept. Okay, very interesting. Everybody have different ideas on how their AZ should be. Okay, now this AZ has its own limitation, but Oracle tried to actually solve this AZ issue by having another way. There's an overlap, something like that. Okay, you read Oracle's one, Oracle has free certification. And you read through their, I think they have, I don't know, anybody tried Oracle? Somebody tried Oracle recently. And then you go to Oracle, right? They have this course free. And then you can take the test and get the certified Oracle Foundation Cloud. Something like that. It's free. And very interesting because you see people go to different things. That's why I think you have to just tell to one company, right? And then just go ahead. Oh, you should know which company you should go to. I cannot sell for you here. Yeah. So you can get a sense of science here on cloud infrastructure where I think we just quickly scan through because I think we are no problem. And then data centers. So what we call modular data centers. Nowadays they're moving to modular data centers, moving around with their trucks. Okay, the first thing I think we need to know is the content delivery service network. We call it CDN. So this is very important, right? Now, because what happens is in a website, right, if you are browsing on a website that is maybe in Japan, in Singapore, so if you go all the way to Japan to download some website from Japan, it's going to be quite slow. Okay, and let's say from certain companies, you also know some countries and the website is very slow. Then it's going to be a problem because all these are underground cable through the sea. So if there's an earthquake or whatever, sometimes these cables are being affected. Okay, and they are not actually through satellite, very expensive. Okay. Yep. So distributed group of servers which work together to provide fast delivery of internet content. Now the keyword here is internet content. We want to look at the content as fast as possible. If it's slow, nobody will go to it. For example, you go to Taobao, then you keep on then show 1, 2 picture, then hang, then crash. Go in, it's lousy website. Right? So that's the reason. You don't want people to experience slowness, okay, or a degree of delay in the way you browse the website. So we provide content delivery services whereby it's a group of people, servers working hand in hand together. Oh, you want to browse this website? Okay, the nearest guy you can find is, okay, here, this region. They can serve the content to you now, provided the content you want to see what's inside there. Okay. But if you're the first person of the day trying to serve the content, and it's not available, too bad. If you are helping the rest to create some extra storage to download from the main server. Let's take a look later on what it is. So the point here is internet content to be delivered by different channels of service. Okay, but they are all kind of like in so-called communications, talking to each other and keep on updating each other. Okay, so CDN does not host any web content. Their purpose is to provide and push content. Okay, by representing somebody, they are the middle ground. It helps to improve website performance and reduce hosting bandwidth by utilizing caching. Okay, the word here is caching, and so they cache data. Okay, for you. So instead of like, for example, you want to ask your boss some question. Okay, so instead of going back all the way to the company, maybe there's a guy, okay, who is representing your boss, okay, kind of like following you throughout. So instead of calling the boss, you can ask the guy who knows the boss very well because he has the knowledge currently before you go out. He has been briefed later on in the meeting. If you ask this question, I just tell you this answer. So there's a prepared answer given when the person wants to ask a question. So it's immediate, it's by the side. So you have to call the way to ask boss. Boss is busy. This is the same kind of condition. Somebody's just beside you, right beside you, you want to ask that. But what question you want to ask is not that. Hey, I don't know, you want to ask boss. Oh, okay, so that means you have to go back again. That is the reason it may not work if the content is not updated, it's not cached properly. Okay, or there are cases like. So, some example of the CDN is Akamai, Amazon CloudFront, Cloudflare, and the rest. Let's take a look at what I mean. Now, there's this very interesting website I want to show you. It's called the CDN Perf. Okay, now you look at all this compare CDN. There are different kinds of CDN around. So you want to see which CDN is currently the fastest. Okay, then you probably can click. So this is the CloudFront. Currently, is AWS CloudFront. So by coloring, this is the color. Okay, and then you can see which one has the fastest response time. So of course, then you can check. Let's say, hey, I heard people saying that. Let me see. Some of the cloud content are blazing, very cheap. Blazing very cheap. Let's try blazing. So what happened to blazing? Very cheap. Maybe very good. Wow, so slow. Then it better not. Now you know why it's so cheap when you provide the CDN service. So you come to here, then you know roughly all the guys are here. Oh, okay, maybe 5 cents. Okay, 5 cents now. Yeah, wow. And then also very good. Okay, depending. So once you want to purchase, at least you go and do some comparison first. Which one CDN is better? Okay, the CDN is slow, then no point. Okay, so you spend money. So then you have like runtime. Okay, runtime is where the user actually they measure from the user. Then we have you can see a CDN providers here. Top CDNs, right? So run is a real user metrics. So they measure by the real user metrics in terms of performance, the uptime. So normally most are like 9.95%, except for a few here below. Okay, so these are the uptime. So you can see these are the content service providers. We have to pay for free. Okay. So what exactly then is this content service? Why I think provide this kind of service to all the website? Okay, let's take a look. So one of them is CloudFront now. So later we'll play a video on Amazon CloudFront. So the benefits of this, of course, number one is improving website load time. You find that it's much faster. Okay, if you have this so-called content delivery service because the website being cached, it's very near to your location, right? And of course, the browsing time is much faster. Reducing bandwidth costs, you don't have to, operate from Japan all the way to your location. If everyone does that, I think this is a very good example when I talk about Windows update. If let's say all of us are a company here, right? Everybody go to Microsoft and update. Essentially it's the same thing, right? Your computer update and Microsoft is the same one. Everybody should go to Microsoft. It's wasting of bandwidth. So what normally you do? You configure your client to go to one central server for update, right? And that one central server will call Microsoft to do the update. That's called how we do the updating. I did that like 15 years ago when I was here. I try out the lab and show the participant how to do Windows update via a server. I think nowadays also doing this. Okay, very simple kind of concept. The point is really save a lot of bandwidth. Not everybody go to Microsoft and get update. It's going to be a wasting of bandwidth. So the same thing, right? You don't waste bandwidth. You just go to your local server, download the cache. If somebody has done the update, it's much faster than me. Okay. Of course, things are different when you're at home. When you're at home, okay, you're not VPN and the computer asks for update. Yeah. Okay, you couldn't find the server because you're now not a VPN, so you hang there, or sometimes you just install halfway installation, then you switch it off, you bring it home, hang there. Okay, and you try to bring back to company again, you try to update, it won't happen because it's already there's some issue. And you have to go for manual installation. So that's what happens most of the time. When your application or your OS need to update but always hang, cannot work, it's because of that issue. Okay. The benefits again, increased content availability and redundancy. If let's say you can't get from this latest one, there's down, don't worry, there's one that is ITN or a bit further, that's all. There's always somebody serving you. Improve website security, right? This is definitely true because all the websites uses what you call a certificate. Okay, server to server always use certificate, so it's much better that way. Okay, this example here in terms of content delivery network, so let's use Cloudflare as an example here. You go to Cloudflare, you see this picture there. So just want to use this example, and this is the origin server. Every time we call origin, origin server is the actual server. By right, everybody should be going all the way here to connect here. But instead of that, now your this content CDN is representing you, okay, to get information from this origin server. Okay, so this origin server actually tries to update accordingly. So not only him, in future, anybody else will just get from here. So the first guy will definitely go to here. and get the data and download into this cache. And the second guy will go on, or will go to this CDN to get the data. Okay. Later I'll just play a video of that. So this is the CDN server. I'll also show you later in my coding how we actually get our library. Okay, we don't actually get the library from the main website. It's going to download the whole website. Okay, you all go to the website. I'll show you what I mean by CDN network. Okay, in terms of content delivery network itself, let's take a look at two scenarios here. One scenario here is there is an issue with the connection, so we call it C grade. So C grade here means that the network here is very slow. Okay, now this is an A grade network. Although both of them having different network. So there's Mr. A and Mr. B. So both of them all having very good network between research and CDN. You can see, right? So for some reason, the CDN on top here and the origin server are not very well connected. Alright, they can actually switch, alright, and get the so-called content from here and update accordingly to make it updated. So you can see that they're always talking to each other. Okay. The current situation here is similar to all the social media platforms you see, Facebook, Twitter, any form of social media you see are all content delivery network. Then how you imagine today you go to the Facebook and say, well done, click, your friend there show the page, well done, they pop out very fast. You try on, it's less than 1 second, down 2 seconds. Immediate, very fast, because of content delivery service. Okay, they are near to each other. So sometimes one node is down, right? The other node will take over and help you to publish it into Facebook. Very fast. Okay. Social media, very powerful. I think it's good to just quickly take a look at the video. I have actually two. One is on the cloud front usage.
So it's on AWS. First part of the tutorial is what was
I just do a skip for you to see what's important.
we used to access Spotify and
Okay, what it's going to do is before this Spotify use AWS cloud, right?
like we used to access Spotify and when you click on it, get downloading again. You get the error. Then
So this doesn't always happen. This will happen it happened because that particular time when the server is congested. Right? Because you connected to the server directly. Imagine there are 1 million people connected to one server. Okay, fair enough. So at that point, everybody connected because there's update available now. So everyone can click. So now we have 1 million server going there and you get update. So that it's true. I mean it's correct. It's relevant.
error was that the connection failed. Right? You see that.
So imagine this is your website, they're going to purchase cloud for your dear mother or wife. Don't go to this website anymore.
So also going to these issues are also maintained at the performance of the. So with the introduction of AWS CloudFront, this problem of making the application got resolved. So after AWS CloudFront, with the help of AWS CloudFront, Spotify gives the facility of creating features, access to million songs that you can access.
So with this CloudFront, we can imagine that now this so-called Spotify probably in every country probably set up 3 nodes. I don't know. Okay, or every country. Singapore is very small because there's 1 node. And then maybe Malaysia there are 10 nodes. Different states has 1 node each. Okay. So every time you say update, right, it doesn't contact Spotify straight. You're going to contact the CDN nearest to you first. And then CDN nearest to you, right, will provide an update for you immediately. Because the update has been done for them to download immediately. So that's how fast. So that's the reason. Okay.
So with the use of AWS CloudFront, so AWS CloudFront is a globally distributed network. This is a positive.
Okay, just quickly go to this section. What it means by the CloudFront.
Hello?
Okay, these 4 areas, this thing will keep coming up. These 6 areas are cost effective we have seen, right? Because the CDN although it costs a fair bit of money, but I think if you have to weigh the cost together with the efficiency, I think that's why they call it cost effective. Okay. Time saving, very fast. Right? The downloading is much faster now. Content privacy because there's security inbuilt between the two servers or three servers that are talking to the origin server. Highly programmable, yes, because it's now in the cloud front, you can write scripts to automate a task. And geo-targeting is basically the areas nearest to your positioning, right? And the quick content delivery. Okay, so these are examples of what you mean by the AWS cloud front. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. I think will be good.
So this is a flow, and the flow is with respect to how the user is going to get it from that source. The client first access the website by typing a URL. Step one, that's actual access. Yes.
So application can be any application, can be mobile app.
When the website is open, request for an object. Download.
So you can imagine that guy is a Facebook app.
The DNS.
So Facebook app now, for example, try to contact with AWS cloud front specifically for Facebook.
Edge locations are basically the server.
So in a nutshell, edge location are caching server. Okay, in AWS, edge location are cache servers.
Connects to its nearest edge location in order to serve the user the request. At edge location, AWS CloudFront looks for its request cache.
Yeah, cache.
Find the command, let's say file is available in the edge location. AWS CloudFront then sends the file to the host. Otherwise,
if it doesn't have, you have to go back to the web server to pick up. Okay.
AWS CloudFront compares the requirement specification and share it with the respective server, user web server or server by the back. The web server, responds.
And so far and so on. And for the AWS itself, so if you want to use the AWS CloudFront, this one you will be doing this in 412. You can run the video and check out the instruction there. Basically, is to use a HTML file, all right, and then okay. So sorry, this one can we do in the lab, but not the free credit. You have 100 credit, now cannot be used yet. So the lab 412 allows you to do that. Okay, in 412 itself, not 411, not 415. 411 actually, I sent you all one link to use as a lab. You can use that one, that's free. So you can use the route. You can actually the.
If we start using, will we end up that we don't have enough credit to use your mix?
Currently not yet. I only send the link for the labs. The labs you can just try out. In the labs, don't be surprised that you can use IN, you can use Route 53. But when you reach my 415, right, the $100 credit cannot use Route 53. Okay, cannot use certain things. So this is an example of AWS CloudFront using a Route 53, okay, to create a bucket. So that means instead of now having a website, you can actually provide resources here. Pictures, graphics, songs. You just done here. Okay, and then you get this guy to publish it out. So anybody want to download your content, very fast, the AWS CloudFront everywhere, you have it published everywhere. Okay, we all know the AWS is everywhere. Okay, that's the reason why they have this expectation here and to have the published everywhere. It's very powerful.
So,
yeah. Again?
Yeah,
53.
Route
Route 53 basically is to find where is the nearest path you can take. So in another way, we call it the router. Let's say you talk about the main router from the internet, right, into your AWS network. So that is the Route 53. So this one we can use in $100, but you can use a dynamic routing provided by AWS. That means you can't rename the router. So it's going to be a dynamic route to come in according to what you want the naming convention to be. They name for you. It's a very long naming convention. So when you create any website that is public, you still can do it. You can still create a website and access from the outside, but you need to use their own routing. They'll decide the routing for you. You can't set your own routing.
Can I Can I just check if does it represent by root 443?
The root what? 433 are using the SSL. SSL basically is the network that's used for encryption purpose. So in fact, every conversation is all 443. Yeah, SSL enabled. Okay. The route 53 nothing to do with SSL, but it's basically how you route the information from resources to resources. Another way to explain is, remember the slash thing? If I take www.nyp.uni, I slash image, and that's one route. So I route to to the bucket there, that one resource there. Or I slash song, you go to that source. So you can route internally to every single place you want to. Yes, something along that. But you can't use it. Yeah, but if you pay, then can. Because it's up to your own dynamic configuration. So you can't do that. So you have to pay. It's quite expensive. Not 53, quite expensive. Also used as a main router. You gotta come from outside, right? Straight away go to the resources, slash whatever slash that you can actually go there straight away, very good. So the one I cannot use. Sorry. Okay, another one is setting CDN. This one is about a website. This one is just show you what you can do if you wish to set up. You may not understand, but just along the way, just explain. This is more for developer.
It's James here, founder of CDN5. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can
CDN5
in under 5 minutes.
Okay, it's a place for you to put your placeholder. You have this website here.
In the source code, you'll see there are numerous JavaScript,
This one.
CSS, and images.
I must cause this. Okay, here. So this is where most of us developer, right, have to write code like that. Okay, now you take note, right? I'm writing my code to point to my own server, my location, a stats. Let's say this is my web server, right? So a set is my hard disk and somewhere like the path there. So every people who browse my website will go to my this guy here. Okay. So if I 1 million user hit this guy, you're going to look for this asset thing. So you are actually creating a lot of bandwidth. Why? How many times you run? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times to load is 8 times. To load 8 times here. One user load 8 times. Each time you load, right, you are running a source code. Loading the memory. So very wasting of time. So you probably say, hey, this one now can like support the party. I do all these things. So it's really wasting my memory. These are the things that doesn't concern me, It's not provided by me. Okay, example, you see a set/js job. jQuery-run.js, right? This one not provided by the company. Not provided by the company. Not provided by me. I'm the developer. All these are not written by me. Written by a third party person. I just download it with my server so that I can run faster. Okay. But if I have 1 million users today, then it will be very, very slow. That's what I mean. Okay. So the question is, can I don't download all these things to my server? Can I leave it to the third party to develop this? That's what I mean. Can you do that? Alright. So you know a CDN. A CDN to capture all these atoms into one place, and you guys just go there and download. And mine, you just wait for this to be downloaded, then you run my application. That's why. Okay. So the whole thing can be quite confusing. We get a lot of developers, so you can quite understand.
The assets. So our assets are currently loaded from our website host, which means they're going to load slower if we hosted them on a CDN. We'll cover how to easily implement a CDN to speed everything up. Firstly, we need to log into CDN5, creating an account we haven't got one already. Then we'll click on Add a New Resource. The dashboard shows because our account is currently new and it hasn't got any existing
resource means connect to your
the CDN is
database.
the name of our resource. This is a user-friendly URL where the asset can be loaded from. In this
So this is where your website is.
cdn.birdsong.fm. The origin URL is normally your existing site, the server where your files have been uploaded to, which in this case is birdsong.fm. The CDN will then mirror the content from this existing site. Finally, we can
You can
choose
see like this CDN from Euro scan.
In this case, we don't require SSL, so we'll leave that
So you
option.
provide a cache from there.
Click and create the new CDN resource on our account, and it will create it in a few seconds. It's important to note that it can take up to 15 minutes for this new resource to start functioning.
Okay, 50 minutes to sync everything.
Across all of our network. We'll now click on that in the view line, but we're going to click on providers. So let's go ahead and edit our DNS set.
Okay, so
We'll scroll down or click add a record.
So by adding a record now, you're trying to create CDN of that particular source of FM.
The record name in this case is cdn.birdsong.fm, so we'll set this here. And finally, the value of our record is the CNAME, which we just copied to our clipboard. So we'll paste this in here, and then we can go ahead and click on save. Now the DNS has been updated for our domain, now cdn.birdsong.fm will point to our unique CDN hostname. It's important to note that sometimes DNS changes may take a while to start working on your computers, so please be patient if it doesn't work instantly. The last step of the process is to edit our website code. I've got the homepage here in my HTML editor, and we can update all of the assets to point to the CDN with a single click.
So right now you just point to the CDN, not your own server.
Exactly the same. All the CDN will do.
So now everybody just don't come to my server. You go to the CDN.
Several locations around the
I
world.
got a question.
Yeah.
This is good when you are able to find the internet. But situation whereby the internet is shut down, you are able to access the net, I still got to go to the server. Right?
Oh, okay. If the internet is down, right, it depends on which one is down lah.
That means I forbid internet from going in and out. Because as a corporate entity, I do not want my staff to access the internet.
Okay.
So my webpage, right, I have to put into, I'm just going too much really. It means I put into halfway. Correct?
Oh, okay. I know what you mean. Okay, in that case you can't know because what happened is a CDN file, right? You actually talk to the main server. The main server actually will point to the CDN areas to defend. So in fact, you will never know which CDN you are located to. So you can't block the CDN. CDN is everywhere. So you can't. So even if your internet is down, depending on which one is down, then it will auto route to the nearest one for you. So that is the main reason. Okay.
The content is then served to users from the nearest geographic location, thus making your website load lightning fast. To do this, we're going to use find and replace. We'll then find assets and simply CDN hostname that we just created. So we'll replace it with http://cdn.birdsong.fm/assets, and then click replace. And hey presto, all of the links have been up.
Yeah, so this should be the way. Okay, now in our coding, right, we all use like that. We don't point directly to our main server because it's really wasting of our resources. Okay, so in fact also it's quite stupid, okay, to point to your own so-called server because why? You may be getting outdated libraries. So let's say you're pointing to a CDN with the latest library, it's much better. Because those are the one that offer you the latest library. The one you download like last year, right, could be outdated. You're still using it. But if you use a CDN, right, yeah, it's all pointing to the correct source. It's always the latest content. So that is the reason. And she is correct in a way also. What if the CDN is down? The main CDN is down. Then you have problem. Your website will perform already. Okay, but versus if this one is pointing to the local copy, then no problem. Right? That's what you say, right? But it's the chicken and egg. You want fast or you want stable connectivity?
My webpage also having problems. So actually I download the GCS and the JS into my webpage.
Yeah.
Upload.
Correct.
And point towards my own server. Otherwise I cannot run the
Yeah. So this particular CDN is just one. So unless you know there's another CDN. So if not, then it's going to be a problem. Yeah. Oh. So CDN is this issue lah. Good that it's always get updated copy. Yeah.
So you are saying that they actually point to publicly available keys
Yes.
for certain libraries.
Yeah.
So library or a lot of open source.
Okay.
A lot of open source libraries.
Yeah, there are many open source libraries. You're right. Yeah. So there should be a few CDN. jQuery got one, Bootstrap got one. You want to show you all? Okay. Normally I use two lah, Bootstrap and jQuery. I started to use jQuery UI also. Okay, let's see a jQuery CDN how it works. This one example of CDN created by Ajax. So you just go to this Ajax here. Okay, they use the CDN. So this is for jQuery. Okay, so different, right? So this is Ajax Google API.com. So this is where you house your CDN. Okay, so let's say you go to another one, sure. Okay, Bootstrap example. Now this is the CDN. Yep, CDN JS deliver.net. So this is another CDN. Okay, this is for Bootstrap. Bootstrap you need three libraries. This library, this library, and this library. Okay, so different types of library you use. So again, what Chikan said is correct. In programming, I need to use different API. I probably use up to 5. Okay, different API. So each API can go to different content delivery service. Okay. So I deliver, go to there, download, go to there, download, go to there, download. Then eventually then run my app. That's how we do it nowadays. So that's called content delivery service. It's a middleman, but very fast. Okay, so that's the reason.
What is it? For not by the person who came.
Yeah, so
we are using this one now.
correct, yeah. So as a developer, I always use different API, right? So I use Bootstrap. So Bootstrap provides CDN for us. So then I just connect it. Okay, you can download the source, which you saw previously, right? You download source means you actually reference locally. So you can do this, or you can download. You can use this. This is what Jenny said. If this internet is down, maybe you can't run and you can get error at the pages itself. This will happen if your site is so popular. Why jam out the whole site? Because everyone go to your website and download all the library and run your library. So good and bad, okay, up to you to decide. Okay, but no wrong and right now, up to your company. 8:12. You want to take a break? Okay, let's take a break for 10 minutes. So come back at 8:25. Yeah.
For this top one, right? So I just introduce Windows Manual to them. Can I use other? So we can just pay as you use. Pay as you use. 有一个 service 是吗？所以我们的 project 是要
现在可以再用一个 ASP
select memory go，
也是跟他们
哇，真的，
因为
别了，中吗？
来问题。
期间他们有什么
所以我们需要共享几个 switch， 几个，我们因为每个 cloud 里面都有一个，也有一个它有一个diagram 的，我做的所有So you know, but in the cloud, right? You can specify how many switches. It's like there is this little small box, compartment. Oracle 我就是看 Oracle 它有说这个我不需要画，小问你去找的，可是我不用画出来。
他放 mute off flash
这个 mute 不是我们的 mute， 他的 mute 是这个哎，
他的 mute 可以讲话呀，这个可以讲话，你 point 到是不是？你按到是不是？
他是个。
这句话耶。
好像贵耶。
那是我刚讲的，好像是出版去嘛，人他卖掉嘛，我就想我要一架，我要这个，我要这个 ，OK， 他等好，这边做完做给你 ，OK。
3000太贵了吧？3000你可以买10倍可以function and the spec is 500。
But the thing is, I really trust Toshiba.我做很多 review 的，所以好难清楚。因为要拆这个 script， 它的 memory 全部都把这个它还有 script 一部开。
I think still Microsoft is the leading company
company network，
因为那时候他们有那个训练，记得吗？不是ADC 跟他们东西，我的出不去，那个好像他讲他去，我都会我真的疯掉。我开这个那个传来过来，我试试看，他搬我想可能会出去，我就要去外面刀那个他的里面给我放，对啊，放那个。I don't know， 我慢慢学的，这东西是这样子。没有人问，因为早就会，我的是拿下去。I think my brother is on actually I 加东西，因为我很多是这个很多我买的辣椒，这可以加这个这个包出来的。Yeah, it's quite interesting. But
所以你有一个转换机卖给
不用吗？
我怎么会这个？
很多事情我
做什么都知道，你什么都知道。You don't have to know what you know. The creation conversation.
Right. The function. The basic is you say.
你说你写的
Yeah.
哦，
我有一个人非常的可以的，可以的。就是我们之前做的那个它的那个 requirement setting，所以我们用那个壳，只要可以经过，所以我说它的那个，它那是你要一个地方另外一个地方，对，啊，你决定它的 requirement 下面是不一样，然后它的 stuff 我们用
反正我的你是我的你呢？我这个是好，
the stuff is the same lah. The same as the other project. I think it's not the same as the last project. Okay lah. So it's one. Then you don't add any function. Then you don't
他要所以说不知听。我都要换个 back。
The sense of what you
有些没有啊，这个 band 在那个包里面。没有，不要搞了，可以都是错的。反正是要。哦，他透脚，能死。
不知道有没有
还这么正经啊！哎呦，
我的 PPT，
我在做什么？他说你是放在那个，在你个抽烟或者弄两弄掉的，吓死了！他那对啊，因为有些他们便宜的，那个他们没听到的哦，他们有放进药水哦，他放进药这里好像可以，你不懂，反正高分是要是我我那时候8年
现在
白色的，
还有卖，他们就是歪的，他是很歪的，他写平飞的，一个人就10楼，他从地上来的，他就是
你什么不能看？能定位？
是地过地址，地过的可能会，如果是两个就会是两个把断了，是那个地的，啊，我那个
比较多啥？
讲的，只是要讲的。
简单就简单，它这里放在外面的，外面是哦，都是澳洲啊，它里面比赛啊，你都不会买，很贵的，都拿起来丢掉了，现在我们看过的买丢了啊，不能再拿丢掉，这些很浪费，这个价格很低的，现在没有货了，就是那个波啊，那我每次搬了就浪费了，那个白马一来的话，没完没了，我整个这样每个房间全是装饰。而且这样要打架，我刚刚打了哦，你家我的是第3楼位置的，
因为我知道啊，为什么他是床
1楼3楼，
对，没错，对， 能或者是用说
他不管了，他是没考上，他去到哪里啊？他别人他闻到那个是的话，他就来吃了。他是软的
我的 experience 是好像对，他是对，好像是这样子上去的。
啊，
他是对，然后他过不去，他就会 keep within the same surface，然后这个区域，
一直往上啊。
对，他就
我们的 Q 来可以考虑嘛？他个人呢是 PhD 的，他来他要 design
真的，
啊，就想那个办法，我讲以前放他的，他讲的在 stress， 不能放屁，就你把我医生的逻辑先他吃过，他讲哇，你给他 PhD 而已。没有，我拿我的过，对然后他就 design， 哇，难的，不简单的，我受不了了。
如果你做不好的话，会走全
很厉害的，
他最高一千多，
我真的啊，就是3个月哦，也是这样。
包括你知道，
你明白了吗？去下面那个杯子啊，杯子的，他是给他杯子是不一样的，杯子的就有一层往反。他拿摔上来错了，他从上面的摔一个味道的。在你的目前就知道你的1000块的你每次没事就会想到一点，就你法律了，你只要有法律哦，真的我们很怕这个生意很自然，我们拿这个业的，所以受不了法律。因为在那个菜的时候，哇，全部都摔在那边，所以他连那个带给吃的，没有一只连带给吃的嘛，那原来有好几香。
不吃了。
这老这个，我现在就知道那个，我看到我刚放那个把给我刚放那个瑞物的，我就讲了，我们健康泡沫。泡沫的好处就是它防水又防火啊，把它的东西不给放太多会把你一手卖啦。
我的反正是给不来的，那个反正的东西它就可以，它是按人力的。我买那个地方，
我这边我全部都把它拉出来，全部换成大的。哇，一手发2个，
它这个都以前有买成功的刀条，他连麻包都做得好，对，都买麻包的。
手拿以后都有一个洞的，你想后面放一个洞的话，讲一个洞，而且
基本现在那些刀哦，你说两个大的刀，
对对，
然后跟它没有什么缝哦，它可以你那个麻包的距离，哇，
现在剪刀这个放木了，真的，刀子容易都断，
然后它是嘛，
而且又贵啊，
这个布的话，你还要说它不可以太湿还是什么？
你要往面
没有啦，
少了，
就是做买那个买那
你反正就是到这个
讲出的
两看这个联播两个人，
是吗？第三是
借的了，借的了，第四联播的，看你看起来好像有点，
这个 OK 了，最多这个如果送我进去会泡泡的，我到进去，
他会走，
把它走进去。
说你妈地会太湿，天气热，你可以看很多好像那个罗汉一样，酒聊会的，罗汉有那个巴黎。
反正那什么也没办法的，后没有物的好事。
OK 啦，反正不用敲掉那个底，不会拎的。
呀，我的也上去，我也
那我没有白你在做另外一个是白色的
呀，那个人喜欢那个地方，他们来我水里面做人，
蛮多人也会做人吗？
不一定，这个喜欢你，我再去不要做了，就是因为我一个他我没做，他喜欢他两个不的。
我这上海 experience 蛮 half changer，
3次啊，
我就3次，
我关键他
一定要搬的，我赚会赚钱，要搬才会赚钱，政府就是不要你搬家， 很聪明的。
我们这里没有钱。
你花钱到这个地方了，你花在钱对。
没有买水，我买
啊，
我现在要买，现在人全部发业生的。
我货币的时候买，我挖的时候买。
现在
因为我的朋友我昨天回来，他讲他讲在跟我讲那个六，我那边，那昨天我还在讲那他是已经去打疫了，他去打了，他的钱很少嘛，他一年才赚20,000。他是做来 charity 的，这边跟你讲，你要知道白面社这边跟你讲一下，帮你一下，帮一下。一年赚20,000，还不能杀。我来他很早期就买水管。他不好，他放了在转移，买的没地方，他这样放进去。因为他的儿子来我们，就那天我跟他讲，你是对，会哇，还要死了，
那个
一西洋，一个一西洋，
不能入阿健去买钱，
他咯，级别所有可能可以，级别都可以用黄金搞定，可以吧？你这样年轻，好有用才对的，用。
我基本上都是
好6,000高啦。
我怎么讲那个我啊，你帮交给他，你不
少企业得到比，
一定有那个钱，我一件700现在。你可以去买，
你的那些他有说到理财，就来很像那些你的最高的你到90岁嘛，你的那个
我当时也刷回程票，
你回到那个你他的那个物质，
你还可以他一个月是会见的，如果你做8单月的是经济啊，第三单位，你可以做extra 8单 ，get more 1个这个拿的微了，因为如果你的工钱差不多就是这个资历，他只扣1000名，对，6000就是5000的人，
人你7000你还是照报那个
6000，所以如果
你照8000的话，还是报6000的。做那个200比例的是6000，
如果你拿8单他可以在2000的再
或者你可以我叫回去给我。
我再回去给我玩。
没有，你们在国内还有可以上地方自己刷，因为那些很多 cash 的不需要用是比的比的 set size you every year you get 1.4%，你把那个你放进 special 到更多%，
但是你要多说一点，要多。
没有你放就要放这个了。你可以把那个转去 special 啦，给里面给 more percentage 哦。把那个你很多 special 你不能动嘛，你的你还可以拿来推，我得来推到大尾白那个。
哇，
多23年，多23年。
你结婚了吗？
还有多23年。
多23年啊，23年，这个叫我爱你。
我来。
这边那个。
You okay? I just saw your message. The lecture starting soon, huh?
Okay, come, shall we start?
Shower fall asleep already.
Don't know. It's just recording.
Okay, probably another.
How you reply yes?
Okay, now in cloud computing itself, where your virtual machines or your so-called resources, depending on which country is located, right, and it is actually under the purview of. Okay, this example of infrastructure, we have the AWS full infrastructure, which is the region, right? Actually, there are more. Okay, these are the ones that was shown last year. This edge location, remember edge location, we talk about caching, right? Caching system and DNS, which is the the black box. Okay, in terms of Microsoft Azure itself, is not as huge as the AWS, so they have their own naming convention as well. So we have the sub-region, and they call it major data center. Okay, then they have the CDN, which is the triangle. Okay, to specify the CDN itself, many others. Just to show you the different types. So AZ itself, we can have multiple AZ, similar to what we have in our project later on after term break. So we can have up to 4 AZ. Okay, one is public AZ, one is private AZ. Okay, public AZ itself is public to the so-called internet. That means it is a data center that can be accessed from the outside. That's called public AZ. Private AZ, it is private to your own network, which cannot be seen outside. So although it is a data center itself, you say that this AZ is private in my network itself. Okay, so it's public AZ versus private AZ. So we have VPC, right? Remember virtual private cloud, 2 VPC. So VPC A, VPC B. VPC is a virtual private cloud. It is a very big network inside our cloud. Alright, so each VPC I will have one public one. Another VPC I have one public, one private. So we have 2 sets. So anything happen to our network, you replicate the other one and take over or reinstall. So that's why it makes like a VPC. Here I don't show VPC because the VPC itself is not really a concept for all clouds. Okay, VPC is a concept only available to this AWS and not to all clouds itself. So only AWS has this virtual private network itself inside the VPC. Okay. So here is an example of 3AZ in AWS. Alright, you can choose the 3AZ. Provides redundancy. Always that's the reason why you have more AZ. AZ are always connected to each other. Okay. Over here you see could be 3, but it's up to you to design how many you want in AWS. Okay. Independent and physically isolated. So the example of the AZ, if you want to set specific AZ, there are 3 AZ here in US East region. Okay, there are again 3 for Ireland and whatsoever. So up to you to actually make your own AZ. Again, let me just highlight to you that AZ is just a concept. Okay. In AWS, it's a concept. In other parts of the other clouds, they may be physical data centers. But in AWS, it means virtual. Okay, it's a virtual data center, which is a mini virtual center that you created to point to that data center. It's just a mini one. Okay, this example of how if you have 3 AZ, they are supposed to work hand in hand together. Alright, if one is down, the other one take over, and they are all connected by low latency connectivity, and inside there are all the data centers. Okay. So in this case, this AZ itself seems to be physical. Okay, just take note. In AWS, it's virtual. It's based on your own design. Okay, so don't take literally that AZ is something that's physical. Okay, some are physical, some are in fact so-called virtual. In AWS, it's virtual. Edge location is where let me see, edge location are used for CDN. Right, we have seen the CDN, right? Like AWS Cloud, right? Okay, some people call it a point of presence. So you can CDN, point of presence, or they call it CDN itself, like edge location, different kind of so-called terms that different cloud company or service providers are using. So in terms of the point of presence, right? So sometimes this point of presence helps to protect this called distributed denial of service attack. Okay, by providing AWS Shield, AWS Firewall service. These two services cannot be used in a $100 account. Okay. Okay, Google data center location. You can take a look at the video in YouTube, right, to show you how the Google data center looks like. You actually basically have to skip around the whole place. Cannot walk on. Data center cannot walk on. You need to skip around. It's so huge, so big, and it's very loud. Alright, I think this one looks like my lab. Okay, many years ago when it was 1997. I was studying in the university and the system everything like that. Very huge, very big. Okay, and you can see all the machines. This one is dumb terminal. This is an example of a dumb terminal. No mouse, only a keyboard and a screen. So this screen itself connects to a Linux server. So everybody will get that one underscore command. That's all. When you go and turn it on, and just click that, and then so everyone just type all the way. So doing a practical test, right, very noisy. The whole lab is very noisy. Then when you start, right, all very fast. I think you all used it before, right? VI in what is it? Here, right? VI sudo, is it? Sudo, well, it's a VI sudo. And then, yeah, you all use VIM is also like I saw VIM. VIM is a application for you to edit a file. So those are example VI uses VI to edit any file inside that. You don't have mouse, right? So same thing very old machine. Versus the current one. So now is the facility is very different. We have rack servers, rack mounted, and then we have different cables running all the different space. Now very modern. Okay, this example of inside the data centers, we have giant hardware, so it's very hot inside there. So the challenge here is how to cool the data center. Okay, imagine you have one there and the whole machine number one, very noisy. Okay, needless to say, it's very hot. You need aircon, right? You all know, right? Your data center, you know, you need aircon. So how do you provide the kind of aircon? So basically, this kind of data center is very good when you're in cold country. Singapore, definitely will burn out your equipment. Okay, rack for server, storage array, network switches, all these. So cooling is very important. But the example of how big is data centers, okay, look like the structure, super huge. Okay, because of the size and the cost, right? Normally not everybody can afford data center. Only companies that can afford, okay, the so-called data center, normally about $500 million. Okay, just to create the data center itself. Okay, not $500 million, $362 million. Okay, $100 million is less than $1 million. So it's $362 million just to set up the data center. And most of the infrastructure goes into the cooling process. So you have the National Climate Data Center, then you have the Google data centers, many others. Okay, we look at this example here, just to flash you. Now, these are no test one, just to show you that some information about this typical data centers. We have the power distribution, a computer air handling unit. And all these need to be thinking about how you actually, get all your. Important is how do you get all the hot air to be extracted out, and how you bring in fresh and cooler air. That is the main challenge. I guess this is one of the kind of infrastructure you see when they are trying to mine Bitcoin, right? I remember the hall. So nowadays mining Bitcoin can use just a few racks, right? That's why they TikTok. So you the mine also can use that small thing to mine nowadays, right? SSD, put a 10 SSD then and start mining already. It's very interesting to mine. Anybody here mine Bitcoin? 10 SSD work. Who use SSD to mine Bitcoin? Sure have one. Yeah. Really? You are? Really? Very interesting, mine Bitcoin.
There's article what one person use AWS to do mining.
They don't get caught because AWS is not allowed to. Yeah, AWS is not supposed to do that. They know they're very behind. Okay, energy consumption, this is of 2013, I show you. It's early as 2013 versus 2020. Yeah. You can see the IT equipment that's being used for the data centers 50%. Okay, cooling is 35%. Okay, UPS power distribution is around 10%. So far and so on. Just some information. You know, if you ask me, will all this be tested or not? Tested is not. It is an example of containerized data centers. Okay, they move around because if anything happens to the network itself, these data centers will move around to create edge locations. Okay, to push the data to your. Okay, that's how it works. Anybody actually need to know about the US? No. Singapore is basically just a part. It is containerized because in modular data centers, they can actually put all this, at least 4 or 5 racks into one container. So you can set up a container and even make it a bigger facilities. It's from Sun Microsystems. In generation, there are more generations, but this is an example of a generation 4 modular data centers, how they actually construct the data centers itself. Okay, in a nutshell, data center costs, in terms of servers, 45%. Infrastructure 25%, power draw 15%, network 15%. So mostly at servers. Oh. Okay, the challenges, of course, fault tolerant, load balancing. All these are examples of important items that you must have because if the hard disk is down, what are the alternatives? Memory is down, what are the alternatives? That's why you must have more than what you have. As a public cloud, you must have more than what resources you should need. If let's say they ask for high scalability, high availability, okay, support for a virtual machine migration. This is huge data that's going to migrate, can be terabytes of data, can take months to transfer, okay, between two so-called service providers. Achieving bisection bandwidth itself. Now, bisection bandwidth itself is 2 types of bandwidth that they use. One for low latency, one for fast latency, depending on how you can adjust accordingly. This one we have not discussed because when you talk about cloud computing, if you, especially in AWS, when you have a AWS server running inside the network, okay, that particular server is allocated the IP that is created by AWS, right? You create another virtual machines, and that virtual machine is created by AWS also. Traditionally, we say that, oh, I'm going to get my client to connect to the domain controller, right? Oh, so after connecting, right, you're getting the IP from the domain controller via GSCP. What happened to the current client that's attached to the AWS network? So that's one challenge in the base in Born, right? Okay. Then how are you going to release the IP address from AWS? Okay, so I repeat again. There's some challenges in AWS when you create network. So in network environment, everything is created by AWS. Okay, I created this machine, virtual machine. It's hooked up to AWS, allocate the IP address, correct? Oh. So let's say I create a server today. It's AWS IP address, no problem. But I upgrade this server to a DC, DHCP, right? You can do that, I can do that. And then additionally, you also create another machine. This machine is getting created by AWS, and it has the IP given to this machine. Now that this machine is going to attach itself to this DHCP and DC, right? And what happened to the IP address? Because IP address now actually should follow the DHCP, right? And the DC, right? But then there's one IP allocated to this machine. If you release it now and you didn't attach, what happened? It's gone. It's lost in space. Not only that, now that, okay, let's say you successfully attach the client to the machine server. How do you go into this server now? Cannot go to, sorry, you cannot go to this machine now. It's not attached to this server. It doesn't attach to AWS anymore. There's no way to remote in. You're lost. It's a loss in space. What is that? When you log into DHCP, Yes.
Shawal is it?
Right?
You think you remove
Okay, yeah, of course. Remote can only remote to the server. You cannot remote to the client, right? Now the client is gone already. So then you need to do a space remote lah. So you need to remote to the server remote to the client. Then you do a space jump. Like now we are in the jump ship. Jump here and jump there. Keep jumping until blur here. Where am I now? So you need to jump to different places. So then you need to do two jump. Oh, so okay. So there can be some issues there when you create a cloud network. Okay, not easy, but interesting. Alright, that's what I have. Okay, now let's we don't have practical today. I wanted to the plan is to let you guys talk about the assignment. Alright. So let's bring up the assignment and then let's discuss if there's any question here before you go back. Okay, this one. Alright. Okay, we see a few questions. First one is I cannot find this server anymore. Okay, this server is an old server, right? So purposely make it an old server. So it's good that you cannot find it, but there's a link there, I think. Alright, this server is an old server, so I assume that it's already 8 years old. Okay, I probably not an old server for you, so you can't find the price anymore. Server like that only costs $500 now. Okay, it's like useless already. Maybe throw on the floor so nobody want, or throw the rug, what is this thing? Maybe only worth $200. Maybe this server is old, very old server. But the requirement is there. 192 gigabyte. Okay, the processors roughly you want to increase, you can. Okay. So you should think about what if I upgrade this old server to the new server? How much do I need to purchase that new server? Is it going to be like 10,000, 8,000? How much do I need to spend additionally? Okay. Now in this article, I also say that we have two IT stuff. Okay. The reality check have to come in. When you go to cloud, right? Do you still want the two staff? Let's say you are a boss. Do you want the two staff? Do you need these two staff? Or do you need any staff around the whole world? You can find somebody who's cheaper to manage AWS cloud. You probably say anybody, right? Who I trust. Maybe my student also can. Yeah, it's true. My student was managing a few cloud for his company. And anything happened, just message him. He will straight on go and configure the cloud. And they pay him by the hour. So that is the reality, Anybody who know cloud, you don't have to be you, me, or whoever. Anybody who can help you to do cloud. Can be anywhere in the world. You give me a price, you carry on. You help me to maintain the cloud for 1 year, but give you the whatever. But the point is, do you trust this person? You must trust this person first. You must see his face, maybe I know him, I trust him, I give the job. So do you really need to have two persons sitting there 1 month to man your server? No, right? You think about it. Okay, do you need it? Then roughly how much you pay this person? Probably you pay them on basis of if I need you, then you help me to manage something. You can do that kind of basis. 1 hour I give you maybe $10 or $20 or whatever lah. There's a certain amount you can justify. Okay, as long as the person know how to use the AWS. It's good enough to manage your cloud service. It's not that difficult. Okay, once your cloud is up ready, right? You just need to have that person who are good in understanding the cloud. You can actually do everything for you. It's very important, guys, to get ourselves certified. When the job is here, you can show everything on the job. Don't wait until people agree there. Now you don't have that certificate. That's going to be a problem. Okay. So if you have any question, you can ask. All right. If not, I will leave the time to you all to discuss the component. So also, some students ask if I use PAS or IAS, can or not? Up to you, all right? You can use either these two, but just don't use SAS or it's wrong. So you fail on the assignment. Don't use SAS. It has nothing to do with our website porting to another infrastructure. It's wrong. So it's either PAS or IAS. IAS is more flexible. PAS only choose platform ASP.NET Azure or AWS, either one. Okay, very straightforward. You have an app, you publish it up, get a database up, and then that's it. End of story, done already. Yeah, up to you to choose. Okay, and then I could see savings, cost saving, must have cost saving, or cannot be go to the cloud without cost saving. That's what we call. Okay, I give the time to you all. You all can have any discussion. You all can ask me.
That's why you say must publish, only the publish, right?
No need to publish.
That's why you say publish, make sure you.
You must imagine you want to publish it.
Okay.
Imagine, yeah, just imagine.
Based on all the reports,
Yeah, reports based on report. Yeah. No need to publish, just imagine this can be done that way here. So I think I actually explained to some of the students, right? You actually can go and find cloud architect, solution architect, or call them, and purposely, and I want to check with you, I have this server like that. How much roughly if I were to, then what kind of solution? Oh, I want, now you know already all the term, you can interview them, I want, I think I prefer IaaS, AWS. Are you convinced? I'm not really about something. Maybe you can tell me how much roughly. I think there are students who actually interview all these people, the solution people. There are a lot of companies doing this nowadays. Or just go and ask them how much roughly, then they give you a quote. Then just say it's your personal one, don't say your company one. Say personal, I have few server here and there, so just want to check how much is it. Are you willing to help? Okay, can? Yeah. Any question can come over and ask me.
不黏热。
而且这个它有几色在里面，就是需要用那个吧，把这个是多所以，但是的那个好像这个老的，它是可以3条的，它的保险是每一次收一次，那 H 保险呢？你现在是用火包啊，弄火包和一个打折，那上一方面是在把 program 是去 RDN， 那你是什么？这是多需要的？手表，这是去 RDN 的，大概多少 ？RDN 比较贵，我那边就是要开一个那个。那个麻烦呢，你还要manage你。他是说吧 ，OK 啦，你不如刚才找我们，帮你们聊。
需要他们讲这个讲 SQR 需要两个 SQR 吗？
要一个 SQR 这个要去读一下。去这道是那个，如果你要去体验的那个哦，那个 IAS 要写那个，那 A 就也是可以啦。那 A 真的是不用讲，你可以给我猜这个东西吗？在这边。我要看一下这个东西，你看我们看得到，我要看你的 subscription 看得到。在提醒你 用你的在那边拍不要说了，你的你看一下可以，用你的那个MIT 的买六了。可以吗？就像这个，因为 every year 不一样。可以包包人家有跟我讲，女生，你上面可以没有。你可以做个 VM 嘛，为什么？可以捞这个。哦，我没有那个，
这样不行的吗？
反正可以，你就可以。你应该 click， 你要 click 什么？你给我看一下，你 click 什么？这个 access 那个
Microsoft Action，
那可以那为什么不自己在啊？对对，人家都有咯。然后就我现在可以反正要 start 了嘛，可以哦，可以啦。谁？Okay. No problem. Yeah, you can chop off the day. Now then chop. So we start then.
Is it where we actually migrate our? Is it where we actually migrate our data?
No, I think this lab so that the instruction is correct. 因为我的那个我要打电话给我学，你要打电话打。因为 every year 啊，我拿不一样。他听也是跟你我什么都没得。你識的你，你識的你，
什么是
你很識
什么是视频？
看到很迷恋。
对啊，因为我那时候没有看嘛，没有。
你那个这边可以讲吗？我跟你考试一下。
真的，
这主要去哪里？我懂你是谁啦，拜。
我跟我说，
对啊，拜。你不对了咩？对不对？
我是一学院，
你是国学，你是我，对不对？但是我在这边到底跟我
不是吗？
是我的话，那个我也是，我超明了啊！
这都不需要做的。
电话对吗？没有弄好对不对？你干嘛睡吧？借我说了嘞，给你买都不合适，给都关系啊，贵。我还要，我买它地方，第一地方，你看，要放学，
哦，还要放这个。
6月份啊，我学校的对。啊，学校的 569，170。做的可以吧？ I think you check MIT that's why that's based on domain. 不是 Google 之类的，对不对？ 感觉好像是
再
啊。
见。
给
哦，可以了，
给是吧？
来回一个面，
来定了，给定会不会加钱？
喂，要马上跟他比掉了。
会service 不要紧，我再说。再进去，等下，software developer 肯定不是。
诶，有 free software 的，来看看 free software。诶，可能有那些 Office 诶，
冇啦，
冇咩？
冇啦。
哦，16年。
Yes，
诶，我挺追咧。诶，Windows Server 在到落咧。
哦。
Is it free?
Set the
It's like that.
student job for the Microsoft Windows Server. So it's a job or
291 just like 291
standard or data version? Oh, data center.
standard。
Go all the way up lah.
This
Then more
one
expensive mah.
这个是学校哦，有
The more expensive you cannot justify.
然后这边的，这边的，我问学生他们讲，这来一个嘞，Office 嘛，
You must minimum must go.
一直找嘛，
No.
Office 有这样钱了吗？没有，不
以前有 Office 诶，
没有 MVP 不是
OK OK，
我还到了几多。有啦，不错啦，有 server 咧，你都可以最新的都 standard 什么？你快，
But is it limited timing or not?
I don't think so 咧，maybe 1 year。
Lo masuk tu. Lo masuk.
喂，可以给我看哦。
no，
别，OK，这个给我看，这个我拿着。
没有，你看这个，你可以 use key then install using this key 哦。
你们去也是吧？
可以看的，我们去弄这
没有这个，哦，对，
这个先 can 的，可以哦，
可以哦，可以的，这个可以
啊，你可以的，他讲哦，你用多少他就扣多少钱啊。
啊，对，可以的，
So I can create and then I can delete on the spot lah. Is it?
可以，呀，
I can play
哦，
around.
有$100 ，I think $100。
But once you create it, it's up.
比你小哦，等一下，
如果明年一年的话，又再 recover 给你，没有生产
那天就不在。
那每一年他让你用这种，每年都可以用。
啊，
But not, are we using some of AWS for our kind or
AWS only 412 onwards, 1.5. This one we don't touch it. We try not to touch it.
but my partner want to touch AWS.
有发生啊，来一发，
这个 Azure
touch lah, touch together lah.
不用 Azure 啦，
对哦，可以不要忘记 AWS 嘛。
那你更定啊。But anyway, you don't have to use AWS.
Just do, right?
Nothing you do for assignment, nothing to do.
That's right. That's right.
No matter what Azure or AWS,
It's used for the lab, our lab. I need to.
so I can practice Azure for the lab part. The assignment I can submit to AWS lah.
Sorry, yeah.
So you take the attendance for
I took not for all of you. You all didn't come ah. No, you haven't go yet. That's it.
Also, also, it's best to use Azure.
No. Have to.
It's under tutorial for.
Oh yeah, Muhammad Zakarin. Kiwi. Yeah. I do.
Behind you.
Kudas. Okay. Sharu. Yeah. Jasper. Not here. Ramizan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ramizan here.
on the ball. Yeah.
Ye Jin.
Here. Also the class though.
All the Ye Jin. Zi Qian. And Sing Fu like long hair, right? Okay, it's only 3% not here.
Like in the first the building.
Yes, you can do that.
Yeah, but they asking for the instant type.
You can use a smaller timeline.
Anything very particular in any.
You
It does affect. Right?
you check, yeah, you check this one, right? The assignment it says how many user, right? 10,000. 10,000 users. So you
Because there are many instances.
read the instance, they will say how many users you can support.
Yeah.
Based on the users.
Yes, like this is 10,000. Maybe 10,000 users will come to use that.
Ah.
That is the user.
Oh, okay.
So you
I remember the small one can only go up to 1,000. Then I think the medium one just smaller than 10,000.
So you want to compare the cost annually or monthly?
Do it in not monthly, do it annually then 10 years down the road.
Okay.
So annually first, then 10 years down the road.
Okay.
Because normally 10 years then you keep it up. I think fair, right?
Can I say that for the private server one, right? Private server one, find out change the new server is possible.
Yeah.
So I want to change server now, change server, find out the road then.
Can I say upgrade long? Say 5 years time the road I can't upgrade.
So the cost can check up.
What's that? Actually I give you two stars to check out.
But I want to check out, but because not very specific. You want a lot of things right? It's very good.
Because AWS.
Not true.
But actually, because my company also use AWS, but it's quite expensive for them.
If let's say you don't know how to configure properly.
Yeah, because the previous one was my developer who configured it well. Then he put the large one, the LTO. Yeah, then
Because if you let's say you only going to get like 1,000 feet, you only get a small.
I think it's less than 1,000.
Yeah.
But I don't know how the developer they put the large one.
Large, expensive.
Expensive.
Then the hard drive also, if let's say you go and upload your own image, more expensive. Let's say you create your own image, right? Windows image. Okay, I tell them I use my own.
Yeah, then you upload that.
If you ask the AWS people, they it's better to upgrade your own image. Because you upload, you take out storage space. How many gig of storage space? 20 gig of storage space just to use your own image.
Better use yours.
You always use their own image, cheaper. If you upload your own one, wow, very expensive.
What's the reason being you want to use yours? Yeah.
Security
Okay.
policy that I believe you know. I don't
That security is
So you actually
it's not cheap.
create your own VM,
Yeah.
then you convert it up to AWS, right? That one's certificate. So it can be expensive it can be reasonable. In 10 years down the road, definitely it's much cheaper. Because you already do away with two stuff. Really. Yeah. It's much cheaper. And not only that, if you get a third party one, they manage for you. This third party one for you actually. You come in and you tell them, what you want to do? I want to do this kind. This kind is permanent one. So the future, you can see your future. You can be sitting here, helping 10 companies doing AWS. Just sit here only. Your home only. Then the company okay, can you help me? Okay, so which one?
But you have to constantly ask yourself to get to know the new things. And also,
Only AWS, you know already. You really know the whole thing.
you know what
Only that. You said they ask you to come on. So up together
a lot of
in the future.
anybody is doing this. Like if everybody doing this, then there's no point. Unless
So you can imagine that one guy actually is maintaining for 10 companies. Can you imagine that? He's just sitting at home every day. Okay, nothing. I just read my book. Yeah, okay. Can you imagine that kind of job? Well, you imagine these are young people what they're doing now. The students do all this kind of thing.
early at I was like old already learning this.
No, they say I also want to share all this story. Yeah, a lot of people. Don't go and stick here. My thing server, think about the future. I get it.
They're paying, the company was paying 800 plus
Month.
per month.
Yeah, good that.
And I think it's USD, right?
If you pay the staff 2,000, save it.
Because they put up,
Staff 2,000.
they put up,
Staff 4,000. Yeah, no.
they put up, I don't know how they put up.
So if you have well, at least you can be managing 3 company, 4 company at one go. Wow.
My student, he's helping one company at AWS. And that company, right, actually have a few clients, so he's helping that company. Just by call, so he's studying, later he go and
sorry, I said, you see, if you've got solution architect, then you can get yourself a job, right?
Again,
It's still one degree also already. It's just
no
not.
only, solution architect,
Oh, that almost I saw it's 3 degree and the
Six can be freelance lah, freelance job, right?
you can be a freelance because you just show me the
I
cert.
don't want you to get the cert and they, oh, you don't have degree then.
No lah, so what do you know AWS? No, only.
Sure, you have to get knowledge also lah. People who need this.
Just show me you can do it, I'll bring you along. Then we work together in the team lah. So I don't have to hire you ma, just based on the solution lah. So you see with me, then you try the customer what you want, understand, then you provide for me, then you go in and help me do it. Yo no need degree what.
No, they ask for it.
It's not because they want to hire you temporarily inside the company to help you to manage all the project.
For the management position.
Not management position, it's solution architect position.
Okay.
That means you see you're working for my company now.
Yeah.
Okay, my company, somebody called my company.
Yeah.
Hello, I would like to get you to help me to provide AWS solution. So I'll bring you along lah. Or you just go and meet the client on. So you are employed by me.
Yeah, the person with the degree lah.
They want degree lah because I think, okay, there are instances, they're recorded.
This one is Shawal. You won't share anywhere else.
Okay, this one, not trying to be what lah. But the point is, like my staff, my ex colleague lah, don't mention name lah. So he worked in AWS, right? The one I mentioned to you. Then he went to this company. Okay, so he met up with the company engineer. Then he said, hey, engineer is from where one? Machine. Oh, just a colleague.
Oh, okay.
Then the company asked the police, me just get he took a nuts. Just give me the computer. Okay, so at least when we don't understand it, mature. So you get the college student, they may not get the so that's why they want to employ the whatever you say, it has the count. And maturity that we can see, you know, what you saying now. Okay.
It's quite risky that to like if they still look at the back. Like if I want to go on like shooting
Your government already say skill based. Skill.
It's a risk.
And you don't have to remain in Singapore. In fact, other people to say, just show me the cert.
All over the world lah.
I mean, it's worry. Just put LinkedIn, you know how to do this, people will call you already. They help me to manage this.
I know that's they are very
Yeah, they are skill. Even you have cert, right? You show me you can do it. Even let's say you get deep there or not to convert my physical system to a virtual system. You know, easy leh.
Not to do the so they are very short.
Yes, correct. I mean, giving you a chance to do the take one in a solution. The whole thing will come back again to you.
yeah.
Either company boss hey, how can we go out? Oh, I done it before last semester. Yeah, now you can get before. So boss, cannot stop me.
Most important is
I mean, no, don't worry.
so I tell you for CDN. Theoretically, CDN you can do well yourself. But because we don't have the server, we don't have the hardware to do that's the thing.
Yeah.
Actually, whatever the public cloud is, we can do. Can just that the hardware you don't have. That's
Yes,
why
you don't have a budget.
budget.
You must have more than
Unless you can cater like 1,000 hardware per day,
Yes.
you can do it.
yes. Everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Just a budget. Yeah. No, just like Bitcoin. Everybody can buy.
You got any question or not? Everybody left already. Except for me. If not, then I'll
See, that's all the weekly submission you need to do, or
No submission. Only there's a quiz, you can do. You can try the quiz.
the quiz open already.
Over already. It's just a review question, not quiz. Just review.
The 10%.
then and chat okay?
10% not yet. Next week.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Shawal. What's your role? Where you now? Oh, you COVID 啊？How is it？好冷聽啊？Fever？
The cough will follow you like, for like 1-2 weeks.
Ya lor, quite jialat.
Then your brain also very foggy one after
Eh,
that.
so how your family? Only you kena? Langsung kena. Okay lah.
Okay lah,
Take care.
And call.
Okay, bye bye.